So I'll try to do this in 1 minute so that questions can be answered. This is my first 60-day session, my first term. This is absolutely amazing, and just so many kudos to those that helped so much for so many of us freshmen really learn the ropes. And believe me, it is so trial by fire. I was in the speaker's office like pretty much every day for the first 2 weeks, going, oh, what did I do? And so we basically, you get your legs, and I had 13 bills that came through, whether I co-sponsored or sponsored. I'm going to talk about a few that I got to carry going through. The first that was such an honor that came to me from a constituent was to convene a task force on missing and murdered Indigenous women across the state. And this has been such a meaningful piece of legislation in that, missing women across our communities have not had a response from law enforcement, from our state, and this accelerates that. It was an emergency bill. It had universal support through both chambers. And the governor signed it, and so we're convening, and I didn't know how much happens after the fact, how involved we get to be in the process of seeing this come to fruition, so that it was a tremendous honor. I worked a lot in our rural areas, not only for funding and capital outlay, but ensuring that our Acequia communities, those funds in our Interstate Stream Commission were protected, and so we passed a bill that came through the Senate. We worked it on both sides. That protects funding for infrastructure and for protection of water, and for those communities that are trying to access funds for essentially, they're the oldest forms of irrigation in the country. And so this is so important that we protect that. We passed an Energy Efficiency Act that allows our energy producers to incentivize energy conservation in our state. And allows investment into energy conservation, so it's not just the more energy you produce, the more money they make. It allows us to actually incentivize that energy conservation. So it was amazing to both have energy companies and the environmental community on board with that in committee. And again, we got great support through both chambers and saw that pass, both, again, bipartisan support as well. Once we learned about our junior bill and how that worked, I was able to raise funds from other legislators, including my colleague to my right, and of course Senator Nancy Rodriguez, for menstrual hygiene products in schools to have universal private access. And because we didn't get to fund it fully, I'm working with Always, the company, to help meet that gap right now, so that our state can serve young girls, young women, to have this access. 1 in 5 girls misses school because of lack of access to basic sanitary hygiene. So products for sanitary products. So this is very exciting for our state and really puts us on the map for ensuring that we protect women and girls and keep them in school. I think one of the underlying things that hasn't been said in the media enough is about the criminal justice reforms. I was able to co-sponsor legislation with Representative Maestas on ensuring that we have proper oversight of solitary confinement in our prisons. Probation and parole is fully reformed. Expungement laws are now on the books in New Mexico, and a lot of employment access for those that had criminal records. We were able to do a ton, and I think this will be, as it comes to fruition, a really important effort to create safe communities and to allow those that have been through the system to really have that restorative justice accessible. And then finally, I was a participant in the protection for our unions. We no longer have right to work counties in our state. We now have a state oversight. So that was so exciting. And again, I just want to thank our colleagues here. I learned so much, and I'm just so grateful to have the leadership that we have in our Santa Fe delegation to carry this legislation and to have the kind of leadership that we do to go to have accessible in our collective communities. And finally, just the amount of funding that we were able to bring in for what I'm calling our healing economy, not only in the north but in Santa Fe, for the Santa Fe Mountain Center, Oil Recovery, our recovery center, and renewable energy across the county of Santa Fe, and other rural investments. I think they're so critical in bringing our state forward. So thank you so much for all being here and for participating in this incredible 60-day session that was just, if this is how it's going to be, I cannot wait to see what comes next. So thank you so much.